On this episode of the CJ Sweat Show, we're going to talk about LeBron James's performance in the Eastern Conference Finals and why maybe we should stop doubting him in January. Also, the pressure is on James Harden to win tonight, and the pressure is not just on James Harden, it's on all of these NBA media writers. Lastly, there is a prominent college football coach, not coaching right now, who I believe will be returning to the sidelines next season. All of that and more starts right now. This is the CJ Sweat Show. I'm not bringing the bias here. You are.
What do they do up there? Brainwashing?
Hey, it's not my fault that your team is terrible.
Let me speak. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
This is just honest. I'm sorry if it hurts. Oh wait, I'm not really sorry.
Put that coffee down.
Can't stop, won't stop.
This is the CJ Sweat Show. We are now live on this Memorial Day special podcast. Thank you all for joining us, and always a special thank you to all the men and women in uniform who give their lives every day for our freedom. And that's why I'm going to be starting off today's podcast with this. There has recently been a controversy around the NFL and the national anthem over the past few days. And don't worry, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because I want to get to the NBA and I want to get to all the fun parts about sports that have been going on today. So no, I'm not going to spend the entire podcast talking about the anthem because I'm sure some of you guys are worn down by this. But I want you to understand why the NFL is taking this position, because it's very important that you at least understand this. No matter what side of the argument you're on, for kneeling during the anthem, against kneeling during the anthem, you must understand why the league is taking the position it's taking. The NFL last year lost a large portion of their base, a very big portion of their base, and ratings went down. Now, I initially doubted that ratings would go down. I thought it would have some effect. I didn't think it would be long-lasting, and I didn't think it would be as significant as it was, but it did have an effect. And the NFL has now come out and said, here's our policy. Either if you're on the field during the national anthem, you're going to stand. Or if you don't want to be on the field for the national anthem, that's fine, but you're going to hang out the locker room. And people are completely obsessed by this. People think this is oppressive. Friends, this is not oppressive by the NFL. And it is not a sign of our nation is still racist and all of those things. It's got nothing to do with that. This is an organization doing what smart organizations do, and that's protecting their base. And right now, the NFL is really just trying to stop the bleeding from their base. You have to understand, the NFL is called the National Football League. And the NFL, over the past, 20 years, has gone incredibly patriotic. And even has their sponsors. Even tells their sponsors, if you're going to sponsor with us, you need to make your ads geared around patriotism. That's why Bud Light has done all of these American flag commercials. That's why Papa John's has gone all in on the military over the past several years. That's why all of these NFL sponsors have become very heavily driven towards the military. And regardless of the real reason behind the protest, the real reason behind some of these people protesting, the reality is the way this landed for a good portion of NFL viewers is that it felt like an offense to our military. Not necessarily even to our nation, but to our military specifically, because that's the flag they go and fight for every single day. And that's why today we're celebrating is not the right word, but we're honoring Memorial Day. And we're honoring those who have fallen for our flag. And the reason for that is because the national anthem was written during a time when we were in battle. And there was a large amount of death around the person writing it. And so that, I understand you're using that moment of an NFL game for your platform, but that moment when the anthem was written and the history behind it is why so many people take offense to this is offensive to our military. Now, people are telling me today that the NFL is super racist, and we had, the Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr come out and say, oh, this is, the NFL's rules and policies on this are archaic. Well, that's funny that Steve Kerr would say that, because here's the NBA guidelines. This is straight, by the way, this is the NBA's guidelines. This is written information. This is in writing. Players, coaches, and trainers are to stand and line up in a dignified posture along the sidelines or on the foul line during the playing of the national anthem. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, by the way, has said he expects NBA players to stand for the anthem. Okay, now I don't know about you, but that seems a bit more strict than the NFL's rule that says you can stand for the anthem or hang out in the locker room until it's over. So Steve Kerr, head coach of the Golden State Warriors, maybe if you believe the NFL is archaic, it's time to look into your own sport. And maybe instead of saying the NFL is so behind the NBA, we look at what actually is written in the NBA guidelines and in the NBA's rules before making that statement, before saying the NFL is behind the NBA. But no, nobody wants to do that. Everybody these days is about, I want to be right on Twitter. I got to be right, and I got to have social justice. And I got to be a social justice warrior. Nobody actually wants to look into the issue. The NFL is a private organization, just as every NFL player is a private entity. So the same First Amendment right that allows you to protest the national anthem, that, by the way, I supported when you did protest the national anthem, allows the NFL to set its own guidelines. And I don't have any issue with a private organization, a business, a company, whatever, having their own uniform standards. Every workplace has their own policy when it comes to employees. Don't believe me? Show up to your job tomorrow with gauges in your ears, ripped holes in your jeans, I don't care where you work, and you tell me how your employer responds if you don't wear your uniform to work. And that could be a suit, it could even be something casual, but if you dress like complete crap, I guarantee your employer is going to say something. Every workplace has policies. Try talking religion at a workplace. It's not allowed. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have the freedom of speech to do it. You do, but the freedom of speech just protects you from the government, not from a private organization. I cannot believe in 2018 people are still confused by this. Still confused by it. By the way, I'm looking at the other leagues. Major League Baseball doesn't have an official policy governing during the national anthem. And the NHL doesn't either. There's nothing written in it. And Gary Bettman has just said he would expect players to not make the national anthem into a political discussion. So out of Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL, and NBA, who has the strictest rules? The NBA when it comes to the national anthem. Here's the other thing I want to get to. Now we're going to get to some of the more fun stuff. Now that discussion is over. Last night, LeBron James did something absolutely incredible. LeBron James, Game 7 on the road, went and beat Boston. Nobody else has beaten Boston in Boston this year. LeBron did it last night in an incredibly ugly game. The Celtics only scored 79. The Cavs only scored 87. Cavs shot 45% from the field. Celtics shot 34% from the field. Cavs shot 25% from 3, and the Celtics shot only 18% from 3. This felt like an old school basketball game where the 3 was not nearly as important. Until like that last quarter when both teams were just kind of jacking them up. But for the most part, this felt like an old school physical basketball game, and LeBron went and won. And everybody today keeps telling me this really lame excuse. LeBron beat the Celtics B team. Okay, Celtics fans, let's have a little discussion. You think this is your B team, right? Because Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward are out, and so now you're having to rely on Terry Rozier and Jason Tatum. Okay, Here's a little news flash for you Celtics fans. This isn't the first time Kyrie Irving has been absent when his team really, really needed him. Let me take you back to the 2015 NBA Finals, when LeBron James was forced to go head-to-head with the Golden State Warriors and only had Matthew Dellavedova by his side. Yeah, Kyrie Irving wasn't there either. Want to know why? Oh, he was injured. Let's go back to when Kyrie Irving was at Duke. 10 games into the season, there would have been all this hype about Kyrie Irving. He gets injured for the rest of the season. Then attempts to come back in the tournament and wasn't the same at all. And Duke couldn't survive in that tournament either when they needed him the most. So, Celtics fans, you think this was your B team? Let's see, Gordon Hayward, Utah was fine without him. And the injury he sustained, by the way, every doctor has said it's highly likely that injury reoccurs at some point. Celtics, if you think you're going to have Kyrie Irving this late in the season on a consistent basis, and Gordon Hayward on a consistent basis, you're fooling yourself. This is what Kyrie Irving is. And this is what Gordon Hayward's going to be. Injured, hurt, not reliable. Kyrie Irving is an exceptional talent. And listen, I'll tell you this. During the 2016 NBA Finals when the Cavs won, Kyrie Irving was a huge help, obviously. But this is not the first time he's been completely absent when his team needed him the most. So Celtics, you're telling me this is your B team? No. This is your team. Injured Irving. Injured Gordon Hayward. This is what you're going to be dealing with. You went all in on him. You went all in on Kyrie Irving. This is what you get. Injury prone. The warning was right there for you to read. They put that warning right there on the bottle. We've seen this 2 times before where Kyrie Irving gets injured. So don't tell me LeBron beat your B team. Don't tell me that. You had the better coach, by the way. You still had the deeper roster. You got the most exciting young player in the NBA, Jason Tatum. And LeBron went into your house where you were undefeated, pushed you around, shoved you around, forced you to take super bad shots, and you lost the game. This wasn't about LeBron beating the B team. This was about experience beating your youth and your two big stars not being reliable. By the way, I would make the argument that Al Horford throughout his career has been far more valuable than Kyrie Irving when it comes to the postseason. By the way, everybody keeps telling me how great Kyrie Irving is. Okay, do you get that pre-LeBron James, Kyrie Irving could not get the Cavs even into the playoffs? In the Eastern Conference, the pathetic Eastern Conference we all like to joke about. Kyrie Irving couldn't get them into the playoffs. So why would Kyrie Irving have been valuable enough to get you past LeBron James? He wouldn't have been. Gordon Hayward, everybody keeps telling me the value he brings. Yet Utah is just as good, if not better, without him than they were with him. So I don't think these players bring the amount of value that we're giving them. And everybody keeps telling me, this is what we should expect from LeBron. Like, do you get that last night LeBron's over-under for points by Vegas was set at 38? And at 35, he went under that. Like, the expectations we have for LeBron are absolutely through the roof. Now, I'm not here to make excuses for LeBron, but I think oftentimes we confuse excuse for a reason. Okay, like, if Celine Dion has a concert tomorrow and has laryngitis, it says, I can't sing because I have laryngitis. Is that an excuse or is that a reason why she can't sing? That might be a reason. Don't you think that might be a reason? What if, like, I don't know, like a track runner tears their ankle and has to get it amputated tomorrow? Don't you think that might be a reason why they couldn't run next weekend? There's reasons for things and there's excuses. An excuse is something that was so super small, you made a way bigger deal out of it than it needed to be. A reason is an actual reason why something couldn't occur. Okay, reason why LeBron James shouldn't be in the NBA Finals? His best star from last season, his best supporting cast member, Kyrie Irving, led him, and his best supporting cast member this season, Kevin Love, wasn't there last night. So all you Boston fans are saying, we didn't have our A team. No, you did have your A team. And even if you didn't, LeBron James was without his best player. So what's your excuse? Like, I'm telling you, LeBron has been so incredible, and the one thing that irritates me the most is we can't get off of this LeBron will never be Michael argument. Who cares if LeBron is never going to be Michael? Okay, I'll even surrender that argument to you. Can we finally just enjoy his greatness now as the second best player to ever play in the NBA? Like, can we please just enjoy that greatness? Stop telling me, by the way, like in January I was told, oh, LeBron's not going to make it to the NBA Finals. After game 1 of the Eastern Conference first round, I was told, oh, LeBron James is going to get swept by Indiana. That didn't happen. Before the second series started against Toronto, I was told LeBron won't get past Toronto. Well, he swept them. And then after game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, I was told LeBron was going to get swept by Boston. Well, he's now beaten them in 7. Like, can we stop doubting LeBron after game 1 now? Okay, LeBron through his career, has run into multiple dynasties. Multiple dynasties. Like, you do get who LeBron beat in his first NBA Finals was the Oklahoma City Thunder, who had James Harden, we're going to get to him in a minute, by the way, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant. All 3 of those guys have won MVP awards. They also had Serge Ibaka, who was an incredible player at that time, and Kendrick Perkins, who had a real value on the boards. Okay, that, by the way, if you put that team together, people would say that's going to be the next dynasty for the next decade. Well, LeBron already beat them once and did it in 5 games. Okay, then LeBron gets hit with Greg Popovich, arguably the best coach in the past 2 decades. LeBron got by him the first time, and the second time still took him to 6 games with very little help. Then LeBron runs into what we've now considered the greatest dynasty in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors. Or the greatest team assembled in the NBA, Golden State Warriors. Okay? LeBron's second season beat them. They then, by the way, Golden State, the dynasty, the greatest team ever assembled, had to go and get the second best player in the league, Kevin Durant, just to get past LeBron James. Like, I love Michael Jordan, and I'm not here to say LeBron is better than Michael. You can make that argument whatever you want, but Michael Jordan never forced the best team in his league to go get the second best player in the league. Michael never did that. LeBron has done that now. So if we're continuing to have this argument about who's the most valuable player in the league, who's been absolutely incredible, I'm tired of hearing doubters on LeBron James. Here's the other thing, by the way. Tonight is a big night for the NBA. Tonight is a huge night for the NBA because James Harden is expected to going away win this MVP award. Going away win the MVP award. Okay, now I want you to understand something. All right, LeBron last night, Game 7, on the road, doesn't have Kevin Love. All right, James Harden tonight, Game 7, doesn't have Chris Paul. Both players lost their best supporting cast member before Game 7. Both players, by the way, going up against better coaches. Both players, by the way, are going up against deeper rosters. LeBron won his last night. LeBron did, with no help. So I don't care about who doesn't help James Harden tonight. I don't care about Chris Paul not being there tonight. If we're going to say that James Harden is the most valuable player in the NBA, tonight is his night of validation. Now, I'm not saying that we should be awarding the MVP award based on the postseason. I don't care about that. What I care about is validation. And last night, I believe, validated LeBron's legacy and validated LeBron as the most valuable player in the league. But if James Harden is truly more valuable, tonight is his chance to prove it. And NBA writers, if you're going to give him that MVP award, you had better hope he wins. Here's the thing about the MVP award I don't get. Okay, Russell Westbrook won it last year, right? And what was the reasoning for Russell Westbrook winning the NBA MVP? Oh, because he averaged a triple-double. Okay, Russell Westbrook did the same thing this year, averaged a triple-double. His stats are almost equal, almost the exact same, and yet Russell Westbrook isn't even a finalist for the MVP award. How is that? He did the same exact thing as he did last year. Okay, so if James Harden loses tonight and wins the MVP award, I'm going to propose that we rename the award from most valuable player to media's favorite player. It's going from MVP to MFP. Media's favorite player. Because at this point, what else are you arguing? Like, how do you look at LeBron in Cleveland and James Harden in Houston and not tell me LeBron is more valuable? What else are you looking at? And here's the other thing I don't understand. Okay, if you're going to give the MVP to James Harden instead of LeBron James, what are you basing it on? The fact that James Harden had a good year while LeBron had a good year. What could LeBron have done differently this year that would force you to give him the MVP? If you can't answer that question, then LeBron has earned the MVP. And I want like a real answer. Like, what is something LeBron could have done better this year to win the MVP if he doesn't? Because I don't know what it is. Aside from 100 points, 20 rebounds, and 20 assists per game, I don't know what would have done it for you media writers. I don't get it. We're going to give this to James Harden again? James Harden lost Chris Paul and was completely useless in Game 6. Sure, he scores a lot of points. He doesn't make his team better. LeBron last night was giving Kyle Korver. I mean, like, people love to say, oh, look at the Cavs. He doesn't make them better. They don't shoot better. Do you watch the games? Did you see last night how many open shots his teammates had? And they just clanked every single one of them. I mean, they're just throwing up bricks. LeBron's giving them wide open shots, and they're throwing up bricks. You cannot tell me that LeBron doesn't make his teammates better. Kyrie pre-LeBron, not in the playoffs. Kyrie with LeBron in the finals every single year and wins one of them. And could have won another one, not even playing in the games. I mean, you do realize LeBron took Matthew Dellavedova and the rest of that roster 6 games against Golden State. 6 games against Golden State. Okay, I forget the LeBron-Michael argument. I just forget that. But valuable? Okay, if LeBron leaves Cleveland, which I think even though he's in the NBA Finals, I think he's going to leave Cleveland, and I don't know where he's going to go. I think probably Houston. I think potentially LA. I think weirdly enough, I think Miami has been in play for this. I think it's weird. I think a lot of people aren't talking about it, but I think there's a small chance LeBron wants to reunite with Pat Riley. I really do. Okay, but when LeBron leaves Cleveland, like you do get, Cleveland is going to go right back to the NBA lottery to rebuild their team, right? Okay, if James Harden left Houston tomorrow, they wouldn't even have to rebuild. Their goal would be, okay, well, let's get deeper. We've still got Chris Paul. We've still got Clint Capella. We still have 6th Man of the Year Eric Gordon. It wouldn't be complete and utter rebuild. We've lost the fabric of our franchise. It would be, okay, let's go find a couple players in free agency since James Harden's going to leave. Okay, valuable belongs to LeBron. Let's segue to this. Oftentimes, we get confused in the NFL. Like, a lot of people get confused by this. Like, last year, people were telling me the one team everybody needs to pay attention to is Tampa Bay. Like, everybody kept saying, Tampa Bay, watch the Bucs. They're going to be so improved. And I'm like, no. Listen, Tampa Bay is going to be on Hard Knocks. Tampa Bay has a quarterback who has to squint when he throws and can't stop getting into trouble year in and year out. And Tampa Bay is known around the league as a dysfunctional franchise. But yeah, everybody's like, look at this roster, like, oh my gosh, Tampa Bay with Mike Evans, with Deshaun Jackson, Jameis Winston, Doug Martin, that's going to be the team to beat. Tampa Bay was not the team to beat. We also get super confused about quarterbacks. Like last year, remember, everybody said the quarterback everybody must take is Mitch Trubisky because he throws the ball a mile. And I'm sitting there going, okay, but Deshaun Watson is the most talented quarterback and has real leadership skills. And everyone's like, yeah, but you got to take Mitch Trubisky because he throws the ball a mile. Okay, this year everybody's like, okay, the guy you got to take is Josh Allen because he throws the ball a mile. And the guy you got to take is Baker Mayfield because he's a winner. Oh, we get so confused about this. So there's reports coming out. There were reports coming out that Josh Rosen has blown the doors off Arizona coaches. Like, they are completely flabbergasted at his ability as a quarterback. And now Arizona coaches are saying he may be the starter for week 1 of the season. Duh. Is this not the biggest duh of the year that Josh Rosen is blowing the doors off? Did you read every single scouting report given to you, other NFL writers, other NFL GMs, that kept saying best, most talented quarterback in this class, best arm in this class, throws the most perfect ball? And his one criticism, and I don't even understand how it's a criticism to this day, is that he's really, really smart. Did you miss all of that? Did we miss the fact that he was doubted in the NFL draft and fell from 1 to 10? And everybody's like, oh, but I can't stand Josh Rosen because he came out and he said there were 9 mistakes in front of me. The hate around Josh Rosen. Okay, I have not heard one criticism of Josh Rosen that has not sounded completely emotional. And that's why I'm here supporting him today. Josh Rosen is a little loud, yes. He's a little loud. He's a little outspoken. I'd kind of prefer that to passive aggressiveness, which has been shown not to work in NFL locker rooms. How's that working out for Big Ben? How's that working out for Aaron Rodgers? That passive aggressiveness. Yeah, your team doesn't respect you at all. I want aggressive leadership. That's what Brady has done. And Brady, by the way, has taken over the Patriots locker room. He's taken it away from Bill Belichick. I want aggressive leadership. I don't care about passive aggressiveness, Andrew Luck. So yes, I love that. Did you miss all the scouting reports that said best arm in the league? No duh, he's going to have a great arm. No duh, he's going to impress you. He comes from a pro-style system. I mean, this is it is so crazy to me that everybody's so surprised by Josh Rosen. I told you before the draft, this is the best quarterback in the draft. Sam Darnold was a very close number 2, but Josh Rosen was definitely my number 1. And I told you the one quarterback I would avoid is Baker Mayfield. Well. Wouldn't you look at it today? The Cleveland Browns are now going to be on Hard Knocks. And Baker Mayfield is the reason for it. All these Brown fans are upset. Oh, we're going to be on Hard Knocks. Well, you took the most exciting player, the most marketable player, Baker Mayfield. That's why you're going to be on Hard Knocks, because that was really attractive to a TV executive. By the way, all these Browns fans are like, oh, we could go. We could go 9-7 this year and be like super great. No, Cleveland, you really can't. Okay, so Cleveland, here's your schedule. Right, for all those people that are in love with Baker Mayfield and all those people that are out there doubting Josh Rosen, I'm going to give you the Browns schedule and I'm going to give you the Cardinals schedule, and you just tell me who you think is going to be better. Okay, here's the Browns schedule. Home against the Steelers, at the Saints, home against the Jets, at the Raiders, home against the Ravens, then they play the Chargers, at the Bucks, at the Steelers, Chiefs, Falcons, Bengals, Texans, Panthers, Broncos, Bengals, Ravens. Okay, so out of that schedule, the first winnable game isn't until week 3 against the Jets. He's going to be compared against Sam Darnold, by the way, who will be playing for the New York Jets. That's the first winnable game. I don't know that they win that. Okay, their next winnable game doesn't come until week 7 when they go at Tampa Bay. Okay, I'm not a big Tampa Bay fan. They have a really good pass rush, and they have a decent defense. Their secondary has gotten a lot better. So he's not going to have easy breaks there. Then his next winnable game isn't going to be until they go at Denver. Do you realize how hard it is for any quarterback to win in Denver, regardless of who's playing there? I'm not going to bet on a rookie. So, okay, best case scenario, Brown fan who thinks he's going 9-7 because they picked up Jarvis Landry and Baker Mayfield, look at your schedule. Best case scenario, you're 3-13. Okay, here's the Cardinals schedule by comparison. Now, I'll admit it starts off a little rough. Hey, they're going to host the Redskins and they're going to go at the Rams. Okay, Redskins have a good pass rush. Rams are going to be absolutely dominant. Best case scenario, you start off 1-1. But then they get the Bears, Seattle, and 49ers. 3 winnable games. Then they're going to get Broncos, but at home in Arizona. They get the 49ers again. They get the Raiders at home. Again, Browns have to go on the road. They're going to play the Lions later on this year, and they're going to get the Seahawks again. Arizona's going to be in between 8 and 9 wins. Josh Rosen in his first year. Like, if you're still arguing that Baker Mayfield is going to have a better first year than Josh Rosen, I don't know what else to do with you. Because the Browns have a brutal schedule. The Cardinals have a very workable schedule. Josh Rosen has a better arm. Josh Rosen is super smart. Baker Mayfield has a police video. Have we figured it out now that maybe Baker Mayfield isn't the quarterback of the future in Cleveland? Already a dysfunctional franchise? I don't know what the confusion is. Josh Rosen, better arm according to every single scout since last year. Josh Rosen, super smart. Josh Rosen, really good leadership. Josh Rosen, outspoken. Josh Rosen, great game instincts. Baker Mayfield has to play outside of the pocket to be effective. Baker Mayfield is small. Josh Rosen is not. Baker Mayfield has a police video. Josh Rosen doesn't. Baker Mayfield is jamming the Oklahoma flag in the middle of Ohio State's mid-logo. By the way, apparently every Cleveland Brown fan that also roots for Ohio State has completely forgotten about that incident. I'm tired of arguing that Josh Rosen is going to be better than Mayfield. Duh. All right, and lastly, the one thing I want to get to is there's going to be a very interesting college football story that is yet to happen, but I'm telling you right now, this is going to happen this season. LSU is going to fire Ed Orgeron at the end of this year. And here's why. Okay, LSU's over-under, according to Vegas, is 7 wins. I'm looking at that schedule. I don't know that they can get there. Here's are some of the teams I think LSU could lose to. This season they play Miami, at Auburn. Ole Miss will be tough. At Florida, that's going to be a better Florida team. They're going to play Georgia. Mississippi State will be tough. Alabama, Arkansas is going to be tough. And then they end the year at Texas A&M. Okay, so for LSU to go 7 wins to hit that over-under, they can only lose 5 of those games. I think there's a good chance LSU could end up 5-7 or 6-6 with that Orgeron and completely miss a ball. Even if they go 7-5, LSU fans, 7-5 is not acceptable according to LSU terms. We forget that LSU historically is one of the best programs in all of college football. So, you would not expect Ohio State to be okay with 7-5. You wouldn't expect USC to be okay with it. You wouldn't expect Texas or Alabama or Miami to be okay with it. So, we're not going to expect LSU to be okay with it. LSU, at the end of this year, because their schedule is just too brutal, will fire Ed Orgeron. And the interesting thing about LSU is that it will be an incredibly attractive job. Because the expectations from the past 4 years are going to be incredibly low. Nick Saban, most believe he will retire within the next 5 years. Auburn very likely could be firing Gus Malzahn if he doesn't perform up to status, which I know is crazy, but he was on the hot seat last year. All of these other SEC teams have been known to fire people, and the only real recruiting threat we have to worry about besides Alabama is going to be Georgia. Okay, so this job is going to be super attractive. LSU is going to have options, and I believe LSU is going to go right after a star head coach. A star head coach, Bob Stoops. Okay, Bob Stoops took a break from Oklahoma because he was being replaced. Okay, Bob Stoops' really good friend is Steve Spurrier, who left Florida because a lot of people believed that Florida needed to hire Ron Zuck. I don't get it. I don't get why that was ever the case, but apparently Florida fans thought, hey, we need to go hire Ron Zuck. So people don't remember this. Spurrier was kind of pushed out, and that's why he took the Redskins job. That was part of the reason he left Florida to take the Redskins job. Okay, but Steve Spurrier, even though he was burnt out on the college game, eventually came back. Bob Stoops is really good friends with Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier has lots of SEC connections. LSU is going to go right after Bob Stoops. Now, I'm not saying they're going to get Bob Stoops. I'm not saying Bob Stoops is definitely coming out of retirement. So don't come out and say, oh, listen, Bob Stoops, he's not going to come out of retirement. Listen, I totally get that. I'm not saying that's going to happen. But LSU is going to come after Bob Stoops, And because of their tiredness of being mediocre, because they're going to look around the SEC and go, okay, we got to face Nick Saban, we got to face Texas A&M, who's got Jimbo Fisher now, we've got to face Georgia in recruiting, that's going to be super brutal. We've got to make a splash at head coach. The one person they're going to go to is Bob Stoops. Because if you can't get Bob Stoops, it's slim pickings to get another coach. I mean, there's not a lot of great options. You're going to have to get a young coordinator to go there, which I would not trust with a program as big as LSU, or you're going to have to get a coach coaching a smaller program that's kind of up and on the rise, and that sometimes can be sticky. There's not a coach as established as Bob Stoops. Bob Stoops knows that area. He recruited that area in Oklahoma. He had lots of players come from that southwestern part of the country, or southeastern part of the country. I believe he's a real possibility to go to LSU and become their next head coach. And I believe it would be a home run hire if they could get him. And LSU, by the way, they're going to offer him like $8-9 million a year. That's going to be super tough for Bob Stoops to turn down. Really, really tough. I mean, somebody comes to you $8-9 million a year to coach again on just a 5-year contract. You're only 57 years old, Bob Stoops. You'd consider it. He'd consider it. I think there's a good chance he leaves Oklahoma to go coach LSU. He's only 57 years old. He's a great head coach. He was pushed out by a lot of the people in Oklahoma for Lincoln Riley, just like Steve Spurrier was pushed out by a lot of Florida people for Von Zook. There's a very, very good chance Bob Stoops will be pursued by LSU, and I think it's a story to watch over the next several years. Okay, thank you guys for joining us. If you don't know this, I do another podcast, Virginia Sports Report. Please go visit that. You can go to Virginia Sports or VASportsReport.com. You can find us on Facebook by looking up Virginia Sports Report. I will be doing another podcast soon. I would expect one next week because NBA Finals are going to happen this week, and that's going to be super exciting. So this is the CJ Sweat Show. Have a good night.